because I find that a lot of times with team building, I think a lot of times we're really good at the games, but we're not so great at the debrief. And so this webinar is geared towards showing you some 10 different debriefing techniques and then some tools that kind of help teach that technique. And so we'll walk through each one. The slides and the webinar will be available afterwards, so you'll get a link from Dan on those after the fact. So we're going to dive right in, so that way we make sure that we can cover all 10 techniques in this 60-minute format. And there's two reasons why. One, it could be anytime you ask two people to pair up and have a side conversation, it could be that maybe they're not talking about what you want them to talk about, right? There's risk in that. And so that's one thing. So when you bring it back to the large group and say, hey, one of the questions that I had you discuss was, who was the leader in that activity and why? What were some of the answers that either you heard or you gave? And so now, through the large group shared experience, you have one or two people kind of share out what it is they either heard their partner say or something that they said. So that helps make sure everybody was focused during the conversation. And then it also helps you as the facilitator make sure that you're hearing the pieces of information that you need to hear, so that you can link what they learned here back to your next activity or back to the real world as well. To where a lot of times in the traditional sharing circle, it's me asking a lot of the questions, whereas this one I ask one question or ask them to think about how did, let's say if I was ending a day with this technique or this particular activity, think about all the experiences that you had today, and I want you to think about one key learning moment for you, and I want you to attach it to an experience or to a picture that you see or a metaphor that you see down on one of the cards. So, and this technique really does leave opportunities for the creative and the meaningful interpretation of the experience really wide open for your participants. And so usually when I do this, I'll have people, like for instance, with the activity that you see in the picture there, spread out a bunch of picture cards, have them relate an experience, and then grab that card and then go and pair and share with someone and share with them why you chose the card that you did. And then, so the picture at the bottom of the screen here is actually at an AEE conference, and that's me facilitating right here. I am probably standing on chairs. If you do this with a really large group, everyone kind of needs to be able to see you a little bit. But what I like to do is put a line down the center of the room. There's probably a rope, there it is right there, a rope on the floor. And I always tell people to come and stand on or near the center of the line. And I tell them the line down the center of the room is kind of going to represent the line down the center of the yin and the yang card. And so what I'm going to do is read off both sides of the card, and I want you to vote with your feet and place yourself on which side of the card that you best see yourself on. So, so for instance, this card here, I'm a self-motivated person, or I'm more motivated by others. So first I would decide which side of the line best suits me or best fits me, and then to what degree. So